G'day swingers. So I've got my second bag of pay dirt. Finally. It only took 3 weeks. Considering it was coming from Victoria and that last bag I got came from Queensland, I don't understand that. I suppose it's got a lot of issues at the moment. Hopefully they can rectify them pretty soon. Anyway, so I got my next bag of pay dirt. I'll just flip it around and give you a look. Alright, so this is the next bag of pay dirt, Australian Gold Paydirt. Now, I know there's gold in here already, because I'm going to show you, just here on the side of the bag, it dropped off. There was a little tiny grain of gold that was sticking to the bag before, just in this area. And it's now disappeared on me, actually. It's just there. You look carefully just at the end of my finger, you might be able to see a little bit of gold. I don't think you can. I can't see it through the camera at the moment. But yeah, there's definitely a bit of gold in there. So we'll get straight to it. Grab the classifier out and we'll sift this and see how it goes. Back to you in a sec. Alright, so got the pay dirt bag. Let's go rip her on open. Tip it straight into here. Do apologise again for the light. Unfortunately, said I don't have very much room, and I happen to be in a very dark spot in my house right now. Now, I think I'm going to wash that bag out. Oh yeah, I'm washing this bag out. There's quite a lot of residue stuck in the bottom there, if you can see, right in on those edges. So I'm going to actually put some water in that, like so. Shake this through. Alright, so it looks like it's got a bit of moisture to it still, which is pretty interesting. In fact, I swear I just seen a picker. Yep, I did. Nice. So, let me grab a hold of this. And just dive down further. Keeps going down. Alright, we got it. There's a flake of gold. Nice little flake. So that's not bad considering I spotted that by eye in it. So I'd say we're going to have some fairly fine gold by how thin that flake is. It's very paper thin, but it's a bit of gold. So I'm just going to put this over the side. We'll keep sitting. I'm going to, oh, I just seen another bit, I'm sure of it. Somewhere in there, anyway. There's anything we can see easy. There's another bit. Another little flake. Bit dirty, but all good. Alright, so I'm going to have to quickly grab a spoon just to break up all this. So as you can see, there's some dirty little clumps in there. There are some stone, but there's a bit of dirty clumps in there too. So I'm just going to quickly grab a spoon and we'll clean this up. Actually, I'm going to grab a mortar and pestle. Be back in a sec. Right, so I've got it in the mortar and pestle, and all I'm going to do, just to loosen all this up, make sure it's just gravel, I'm just going to do that. It is quite noisy, so I will get through doing this, and I will fast forward this for you so you don't have to deal with the noise. Alright, so I'm going to now tip this back through, see how that went. So I'm going to grab a toothbrush. And we're just going to quickly brush out the inside. Another shake. Right, so what I'll do is I will pan that separately because these are all the larger gravels. So we'll see what that does in its own pan. But I don't see any more shiny in there. Okay, as I said, we'll pan this to be safe because I don't want to assume, because there's probably a bit in there somewhere. I won't be able to see it till it's washed. So put that back aside. Just going to sit that into the mortar and pestle. And then get to the good bit. I'll fill this up and be back to you. Alright, so let's get to panning, shall we? Might be a little bit too much detergent, but we can deal with that. Worst comes to worst, you just scrape a bit of the bubbles off the top of the bottom pan. That'll just help to remove some of them. But soapy is good when you've got fine gold, and just by looking at these two little pickers, it's fine gold. So we're going to take our time. In fact, I'm going to kick off half those bubbles just so we can see what I'm doing a bit better. Right, so what I'm mainly going to do, because I know there's a little bit of mud and dirt in here, I'm just going to keep shaking it and pouring it off to get most of the sediment out. The gold should stay in the pan, being it's heavier, and I've got a lot of soap in there to break up the surface tension of the water. This is just helping to silt up the water and carry that silt out when I do so. A bit of organic matter in there and a lot of mica. By the looks of things, it's come from granites. Alright, so I'm just going to move across now to the smaller riffles, being very fine material. I just want to gently work it over those to try and bring it down a bit easier without losing anything. Right, sorry, I ran out of phone memory, so I had to go and quickly get the phone off. Thankfully I got the computer just here, so it's not like I have to stress too much. Right, so we're getting down to the fine end. See how this goes. Already got two pickers, so we know there's gold in it. Give me a second, the cat wants to come in. Come on, Puss Puss. She doesn't like me being in rooms with the doors closed for some reason. Who's that, Bubba? She's a very chatty cat. Alright, I think that's as far as I really want to go. It's pretty well down there now. Right. Just going to give it a tap straight away. I'm just going to gently, keeping an eye out to see if I can spot any bits. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, because I've got it a little bit down here, I'm just going to wiggle the back end, as you can see, and that just helps to bring the tailings into a nice neat little pile so they don't get mixed in again. And then you can just tip the water slowly to the front edge. As you can see, when this back end dries out, it just stays right there. So then you can just go to the front, give it a little shake again. The material at the back stays exactly where it is. See what I mean? Makes it so much easier to work bit by bit. Once again, just wobble side to side, leaning backwards slightly, and it just walks all your material to the back. Okay. And you can just pretty much reshake the front and get that back down in place. That way we've got less material to work with each time. It's a lot easier to do so. Alright, so we've got a bit of gold showing up on the side, I think. No, mica. False alarm. Back in a sec. So, as you can see, we're back. We're halfway through the last part. So it's just a matter of just very slowly, very gently, bit by bit. If you see a little bit of shiny at all, which, as I said, I believe because of how fine this material is, it's going to be some fine gold. And the bit that I did see in the bag before opening it was quite fine. There's a bit of black sands. So I'm just going to take it very slow. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk the back end of the pan down again. As you're going to see, that really cleans the back end of the pan up really nicely, allowing you to be able to get back into the front end and re-stratify that down. Alright, so as you can see, we're back to here again. Ooh, I see some gold showing up. See up in here, there's some very, very fine flecks. Okay. We've actually got a fair bit of fine stuff up in the corner, so I'm going to have to just walk this backwards again. And then I'm going to go back to the front edge. I'll give that a good shake. You may lose a little bit of the back end in. As you can see, the water that's coming out of it's pulling it down. But that's not too bad. The majority of the material stayed there. So now we can come back up here. Just walking it backwards again because I can see some more gold showing up on the side, and occasionally when it gets like this you can actually give it a little bit of a shake like so. That settles it all down like you would do normally in the front of the pan before you start to wipe out the rest of the tailings that you want to get rid of. the old bump to guide it. Now, being how fine this gold is, sorry, out of focus, you can see a very fine tail here. I'm going to have to pan this again because there's a guarantee that some small specks of flower gold has walked its way down with this black sand and the fine material. So I will pan this a second time just to make sure I haven't lost anything. I'm just going to give it a bit of a tap. Oh, hello. Look at that for some colour coming through. That's some very nice colour. Hopefully there's a bit more underneath the material there. Oh, look at that tail of gold. Just walking the back down again so I can come back up the front. Give it a good tap. Oh, hello, look at that tail emerge. That is beautiful. Alright, it's almost perfectly clean, but how is that for a spectacular pan? So what I'll do is I'll quickly snuff this out, I'll repan it all again, I'll show you what I have left over out of that. I'll quickly pan the larger material and I'll show you what the result is of that. Back to you shortly. Okay, so I would say that is very, very acceptable panning. If I was to get that sort of loss on a creek, I can see 4 micro dots of gold on there. If I was to get that on the creek, I'd be extremely happy with myself. Now I'm going to repan all the tailings that are in this pan to be sure, but if that's all I've lost, who cares? One speck that's sticking out that you can see just there, 2 in fact. But they're micro dots, so I'll get into the next lot and see how we go. Alright, so I panned down the rough material, or the larger rocks. Sorry, it's very hard to get you in the right spot. Just give me a sec to adjust. As you can see, there's a very fine tail of gold there. So not a lot, but worth checking anyway. So I'm going to snuff that out, and then I will clean it all up and see how we go. Alright, so I've just panned all of it again. And there are 2 micro dots of gold just up in the top corner here. You may not be able to see them because they're quite small. So 2 micro dots out of that panning, both of them once, double checking it again on the fine material. I mean, you can't complain with that for a loss rate. Anyway, I will put this in the other pan, give it a quick clean up, and we'll show you how it looks like. Rightio, so as you can see, it's nicely cleaned up now, and here is one of those pickers, and the other one is just here. Now there are actually a few quite nice little pickers in here, but I'm going to get it out and dry it first so we can have a better look. So I will get to that and I'll show you the end result. Alright guys, so it's actually the next day, and I noticed on this pay dirt bag, it says on the very back here, crush down the big rocks, you might find gold inside. Now, I didn't say that till after I'd actually put it into the water. So, next day, I've let it all dry, and as you can see, I've classified out my plus 1mm mesh, and I'm going to take this and crush all this down and see what's in it. I'll show you the results at the end. Alright, so it seems like it was worth crushing that. There's not a lot in there, but as you can see, just in the top corner, come on, focus. Just in the top corner there, you can see that really fine tail of gold. I'm not going to bother trying to clean that out. What I do with my concentrates like this is I have a jar filled with water that has some mercury in it that I've actually found while panning in a river. So I don't burn it off. I just leave that drop of mercury in some water so it can't heat up, and I keep it in the bar fridge so that way it doesn't heat up at all. It stays really cold and it can't actually evaporate, turning into a gas. And I just basically take all my concentrates like this, throw it into that jar, and every now and again just give it a shake and hope the mercury comes in contact with the gold. If not, I've got a jar full of really good concentrates. Anyway, I will get to the weighing. See you shortly. Right, so we have the gold all dried up, and as you can see, it's a nice amount of gold. Just going to tip it on the scales and see how much it weighs. That's not too bad. Half a gram there, so 0.53, which isn't too bad. Half a gram. I paid $70 for the bag, and looking at that, going off the price that I had last time, $82 for a gram. So you're looking at about 40 odd bucks worth there. Same again. When I go out prospecting, I'd usually spend about 30 odd dollars. So we're looking pretty close to about even, to be honest. Obviously, if I wasn't spending money going out prospecting, it would be a bit cheaper, but it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching. Till next week, stay safe, and I will see you then. Salada.